Hi everyone and welcome again here in my studio. So one of you reached out to me asking if I could show how to sharpen bushing chisels. Now, first of all, I want to thank this person because this is a topic that I already was planning to discuss, but by actively asking this question, this person prompted me to take action on it. So thanks for that. Today I'm going to show you how to sharpen bushing chisels. But before doing that, let's see what bushing chisels are. So a bushing chisel is a chisel that is designed with a square head, which is then fitted with many pyramid-shaped points. And these heads can come in different variations. Here, for example, you can see a head that is fitted with 9 points, which are placed in a formation of 3 by 3. This is another head with 16 points placed in a variation of 4 by 4. And similarly, you have other formations of, for example, 2 by 2 or 5 by 5. The primary use of bushing chisels is for texturizing and decorating stone surfaces, especially in architectural works and stone masonry. But it can also be used to apply its specific texture to sculptures, like for example on this abstract work of mine. And like most stone carving chisels, also bushing chisels come both in hardened steel versions and carbide versions. If you don't remember what carbide is, I did a video only about that. I'll put the link to it in the description below. But basically, it's an alloy that is much harder than hardened steel. And so hardened steel chisels are used for softer stones up to and included marble, whereas carbide tipped chisels are used for harder stones like granite and such. And their use is very simple, unlike other stone carving chisels where you can adopt different angles and inclinations to achieve a specific result on the stone surface. The technique required for bushing chisels is very straightforward. You basically take them and place them perpendicular to the stone surface, and then you use a stone carving club hammer to strike them at the back, just like this. That's it. This is all there is to it. It's that simple. Or you can use it on a more three-dimensional shape, but place the bushing chisel always perpendicular to the surface that you want to work on. Now there is one thing that I need to stress here. If you remember in the episode that I dedicated to the point chisel, I said that if you use the point chisel perpendicularly to the surface of the stone, that action will create mini fractures to the crystals of the stone. And these fractures can go quite deep. And this is also the case with bushing chisels. Since we're using the bushing chisel perpendicular to the stone, the vibrations generated by the hammer striking the chisel will break the crystals of the stone on a deep level. See them as shock waves that go through the stone and leave their mark behind. Now, if this action is carried out with the intention of leaving the chisel marks on the stone surface as a final texture, then that's fine. There's no problem with that. Whereas if you have intentions of cleaning, smoothing down and polishing the stone surface, then bushing chisels will leave a mark behind. A mark that will be very difficult to remove unless you lower the stone surface by a couple of millimeters up to even a centimeter. These marks look like tiny, bright white points on the stone surface. Even if the stone surface is perfectly flat and you don't feel them with your hands, you will still be able to see them with your eyes. I can't actually feel these marks with my hand, but we can still clearly see them. Because you see, when you have a stone that is polished, especially white marble, light will penetrate it up to 1 centimeter deep. And when this light encounters the crystals that have been broken by either the point chisel or the bushing chisel, it will break its path, which will result in a dull appearance when compared to the surrounding polished surface. Okay, now that we know a little bit about bushing chisels, let's finally see how to sharpen them. Because due to their peculiar head, they cannot be easily sharpened on a bench grinder or on a flat stone like other stone carving chisels. Okay, so how do we sharpen bushing chisels? I have to admit that many years ago I was puzzled myself because I couldn't figure out a way of how to do so. But the answer is actually very simple. All you need is a triangular file. because the shape of the file perfectly fits between the teeth of the chisel. And now let me show you how to actually sharpen them. Another thing that you'll need is a bench vise. So you place the chisel in the bench vise and you secure it firmly. And then you simply take the triangular file, place it between the teeth, look how nicely it fits, and then you go back and forth. Just like this. And now I feel that I need to make a side note about the use of the file. You see, metal files are shaped to work only in one direction. They basically work only when you're pushing them forward, like saws. Unless you're using Japanese saws which function the other way around. Japanese saws functions by pulling them backwards, but standard Western saws cut when going forward and not when going backward. The same thing goes for files, so they are able to do their action only when you're pushing them. And the consequence of that, again, is that when pulled backwards, they will not exert any action on the tool that you're filing. The only thing that you'll achieve by pulling the file backward while maintaining contact with a piece like this, the only thing that you'll achieve with that is consuming the metal of the file without having done anything to the piece. So what I would recommend you to develop as a practice when using metal files is to keep the contact with the piece when going forward, but then when you need to replace the file back again, just remove it from the tool and place it back. So it will look like this. Using the files in this way will ensure a longer lifetime for the file itself. Now that we know that, we can move on to the actual sharpening of this bushing chisel. There you go, and this is how we have a newly sharpened bushing chisel. By the way, something that I didn't mention so far is that the bushing chisel can also be found in the shape of a hammer. Now, its use and function is exactly the same as the chisel, and I've discussed it in the episode dedicated to the hammers. The only difference with the chisel is that the marks that it leaves on the stone are considerably bigger, and it's also heavier, so it will be a bit more tiring to use. But regarding the sharpening of the teeth of the bush hammer, in this case it's called the bush hammer, the method is exactly the same as with a chisel. Okay, this was it for today. I hope that the information was useful. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. And as usual, I'm Athar, and I'll see you next time.